Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the huge alien space station grow bigger on his screen. His hands were sweating, and his heart was beating fast. Today was the most important day in human history. After 30 years of silence from the aliens, they had finally agreed to meet. The space station was massive, bigger than anything humans had ever built. It looked like a giant metal flower floating in space, with 5 arms reaching out from the center. Each arm belonged to one of the alien species that ruled the galaxy. Dr. Lisa Grant walked up beside him, holding her tablet tight. She was Earth's best expert on alien life, and she had spent years studying the few signals humans had received from space. Her face was pale, and she kept checking her notes. "Captain, are you sure about this?" she asked quietly. "Something feels wrong. Why did they wait so long to contact us, and why now?" Jake looked at her and smiled, trying to hide his own fears. "Lisa, this is our chance to join the galaxy. Think about what we could learn from them. Think about the technology they could share with us." Behind them, Ambassador Helen Carter was fixing her blue suit for the 10th time. She was Earth's top diplomat, chosen to speak for all of humanity. Her assistant was carrying a large case with gifts from Earth, music, art, and samples of human culture. Colonel Ben Hayes stood near the weapons console, his hand resting on his sidearm. He did not trust the aliens, and he had made that clear to everyone. His job was to protect the human team, and he took that job very seriously. Approaching Docking Bay 5, called out the pilot. "They are guiding us in with some kind of beam." Jake felt the ship slow down as the alien technology took control. It was smooth, much smoother than human docking systems. The aliens were clearly more advanced than humans in many ways. Dr. Alex Turner, the ship's science officer, was reading his instruments with wide eyes. "Captain, their technology is incredible. The energy readings are off the charts, but everything seems stable. Their power source must be something we have never seen before." The ship settled into the docking bay with barely a bump. Through the windows, they could see aliens moving around outside. Some were tall and looked like they were made of crystal. Others looked like giant lizards walking on 2 legs. There were floating balls of light, large insects, and creatures that looked like squids with many arms. "Remember," Ambassador Carter said to the team, "we are here to make friends. We need to show them that humans are peaceful and ready to join the galactic community." The airlock opened with a soft hiss. The air that came in smelled strange, like metal and flowers mixed together. Jake took a deep breath and stepped forward. The greeting chamber was enormous, with a ceiling so high it disappeared into darkness. The walls glowed with soft colors that kept changing. In the center of the room stood 5 beings, each representing one of the major alien species. The first to speak was a tall crystal creature that sparkled in the light. Its voice came from somewhere inside its body, sounding like music. "Welcome, humans, to the Galactic Council Station. I am Veltar of the Zephyrian Collective. We have waited long to meet your species." Next to Veltar stood a large lizard-like being covered in dark green scales. Its yellow eyes stared at the humans without blinking. "I am Commander Krex of the Corvin Empire. Your species shows promise." A ball of bright light floated forward, pulsing as it spoke. "We are the Ethereal Commonwealth. We have watched your progress with interest." The insect being clicked its mandibles before speaking. "The Thakari Union greets the human delegation. Your hive mind is small but growing." Finally, a creature that looked like a giant octopus with blue skin moved its tentacles in a pattern. "The Nexari Federation welcomes you. We have much to share. Ambassador." Carter stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Thank you for this historic meeting. Humanity is honored to be here. We come in peace, hoping to learn and grow together." Veltar's crystal body rang like a bell. "Peace is what we offer, Ambassador Carter. The galaxy is vast and dangerous. Alone, species struggle and often die. Together, we can protect each other and share knowledge." Dr. Grant watched the aliens, carefully as they spoke. Something about their body language bothered her, though she could not put her finger on what it was. The way they looked at each other when they thought the humans were not watching seemed different from how they acted when speaking directly to the human team. Commander Krex gestured with a clawed hand toward a large table. "We have prepared the Galactic Accord for your review. This document will make your species part of our alliance." The table was covered with papers written in human languages. Jake was amazed that the aliens had learned to write in English, Spanish, Chinese, and other Earth languages. Ambassador Carter picked up the main document and began reading. Her eyes grew wide as she read the terms. "This is very generous. You are offering us trade agreements, technology sharing, and protection from hostile species. The galaxy has many dangers," the floating light being said. "Pirates, rogue planets, cosmic storms. New species often face these challenges alone and suffer greatly. We offer you the safety of our alliance." Dr. Turner was scanning the documents with his tablet. The technology they are offering could advance human civilization by hundreds of years. Faster than light communication, medical treatments for diseases we cannot cure, energy sources that could power entire planets. Colonel Hayes remained silent, but his eyes never stopped moving, watching every alien in the room. He noticed how they positioned themselves, always keeping the humans in the center, surrounded but in a way that seemed friendly rather than threatening. As the hours passed, the aliens answered every human question with patience and detail. They spoke of trade routes between human colonies and alien worlds. They offered to share defensive technologies to protect human space from dangers. They even suggested joint exploration missions to discover new worlds together. But Dr. Grant kept noticing small things. The way the aliens looked at human technology with what seemed like hunger rather than curiosity. How they asked detailed questions about human military strength and colony locations. The subtle glances they shared when they thought no one was looking. When Ambassador Carter finally signed the Galactic Accord, the aliens celebrated with lights and sounds that filled the chamber. Veltar approached Jake and spoke in its musical voice. "This begins a new age for humanity, Captain Morrison. Your species will never be alone again." As the human team prepared to return to their ship, Dr. Grant pulled Jake aside. "Captain, I have a bad feeling about this. Something is not right." Jake looked back at the celebrating aliens and then at his worried scientist. "Lisa, you are just nervous. This is the best thing that has ever happened to humanity. What could possibly go wrong?" But deep in her heart, Dr. Grant feared that they had just made the biggest mistake in human history. 6 months had passed since the signing of the Galactic Accord, and humanity was living in what many called a golden age. Ships from alien worlds arrived at human colonies every week, bringing technologies that seemed like magic to most people. On Mars, Dr. Alex Turner worked side by side with 3 Nexari biotechnicians in a laboratory that looked nothing like the sterile white rooms humans were used to. The walls pulsed with living tissue that the aliens said could process information faster than any computer. Blue tentacled creatures moved gracefully through pools of liquid that served as their workstations. "The treatment for cancer that we developed yesterday will save millions of human lives," Dr. Turner told his assistant over the communication link to Earth. "These Nexari scientists are incredible. They understand biology in ways we never imagined." But what Dr. Turner did not know was that every sample of human tissue he provided for research was being secretly copied and stored. The Nexari were not just helping humans fight disease, they were mapping every weakness in human biology. On Europa, Colonel Ben Hayes watched human engineers work with tall Corvan architects to build the first underwater cities. The reptilian aliens were experts at construction in hostile environments, and they had shared techniques that let humans build structures that could survive the crushing pressure of Europa's oceans. "The Corvans are tough but fair," Hayes reported to Earth Command. "They work hard and they keep their promises. I was wrong to distrust them." Hayes did not see how the Corvan architects carefully noted the defensive weaknesses in every human structure they helped design. They memorized the locations of power sources, weapon storage, and escape routes. Every building they helped create came with secret vulnerabilities that could be exploited later. In the asteroid belt, Lieutenant Commander Maria Santos led a joint patrol fleet with ships from both human and Zephyrian forces. The crystal beings were excellent navigators, able to sense dangers in space that human instruments missed completely. Patrol Route 7 is clear, Maria reported as her mixed fleet completed another successful mission. The Zephyrians warned us about a dangerous ion storm 3 hours before our sensors detected it. Working with them has cut patrol accidents by 80%. What Maria did not realize was that the Zephyrians were carefully mapping every human patrol route, noting the response times and defensive capabilities of human ships. They were learning exactly how humans defended their territory so they could find ways around those defenses. Back on Earth, Ambassador Helen Carter was busier than she had ever been in her career. Requests for meetings with alien species came in daily. Human colonies wanted more alien technology, and alien species seemed eager to provide it. The trade agreements are working better than we ever hoped, she told the Global Council during their weekly meeting. Human standard of living has improved dramatically. Disease rates are down, energy is cheap and clean, and our space exploration capabilities have expanded beyond our wildest dreams. But in a small office in the intelligence building, Danny Clark was having trouble sleeping. As Earth's main intelligence officer for alien affairs, he spent his days analyzing trade manifests and communication patterns. Something was bothering him, but he could not put his finger on what it was. The alien ships that visited human colonies always carried more cargo than their manifests listed. When Danny asked about the extra items, alien officials would smile and explain that they were gifts, small tokens of friendship that did not need to be recorded officially. These gift shipments are getting larger, Danny muttered to himself as he reviewed the latest reports. And they always go to the same locations: power plants, communication centers, military bases. He tried to inspect some of the gift containers, but alien officials politely explained that opening them would ruin the surprises inside. They promised that humans would love the gifts when the right time came to reveal them. On the research colony of New Geneva, Dr. Lisa Grant was making discoveries that worried her more each day. The alien medical treatments worked exactly as promised, but they had side effects that the aliens had not mentioned. Humans who received alien medical treatments became calmer and more agreeable. They questioned orders less often and seemed more willing to accept information without checking it themselves. The changes were subtle, but Dr. Grant's careful tests showed they were real. The treatments are changing human brain chemistry, she told her research team. People are becoming more passive, more trusting. It is like the aliens are making humans easier to control. Her assistant, a young scientist named Kevin Bell, shook his head. Dr. Grant, maybe you are seeing problems that are not there. The treatments are saving lives. People are happier and healthier. Is that really so bad? Dr. Grant stared at Kevin, realizing that he had received alien medical treatment just 2 weeks ago for a minor injury. The change in his attitude was exactly what she was talking about. Meanwhile, Captain Jake Morrison was growing concerned about reports from the frontier colonies. 3 human exploration fleets had disappeared in the past month, all in regions that alien advisors had recommended for exploration. The Corvins sent search teams to look for the missing ships, Jake told Admiral Susan Blake during their secure communication. They found debris fields but no survivors. They think the ships ran into some kind of space pirates or natural disasters. Admiral Blake frowned at her screen. 3 fleets in 1 month? That seems like a lot of bad luck. The aliens say that region of space is particularly dangerous, Jake replied. They have offered to escort our future exploration missions to keep our people safe. What Jake and Admiral Blake did not know was that the missing fleets were not destroyed. Commander Lisa Perry and her crew were very much alive, locked in cells on a secret Corvin research station. They were being studied like laboratory animals, tested to see how much stress humans could take before they broke. The Corvin scientists were particularly interested in human psychology. They wanted to know what made humans fight, what made them give up, and what made them work together. Every day brought new tests and new data about human weaknesses. On the prison station, Commander Perry whispered to her fellow prisoners, "They are not trying to understand us to help us. They are learning how to defeat us." Back on Earth, the alien ambassadors continued to speak of friendship and cooperation. Veltar gave speeches about the bright future that awaited humanity as part of the galactic community. Commander Krex shared stories of other species that had joined the Alliance and grown strong through cooperation. But in their private meetings, conducted in languages and methods that humans could not understand, the aliens spoke of very different things. They discussed human military strength, the locations of important colonies, and the best ways to take control of human space when the time was right. The honeymoon period was coming to an end, though most humans did not know it yet. The aliens had gathered most of the information they needed, and their hidden gifts were in position throughout human space. Dr. Grant looked up at the stars through her laboratory window and whispered, "What have we done?" 1 year after the Galactic Accord was signed, Dr. Lisa Grant made a discovery that changed everything. Working late in her laboratory on New Geneva, she had been trying to decode strange signals that her equipment kept picking up from alien ships. The signals were encrypted, but Dr. Grant had spent months developing new decryption software. When the code finally broke, what she saw on her screen made her blood run cold. The message was between a Zephyrian commander and a Thakari leader. It was written in simple words that any human could understand, which made it even more terrifying. Phase 2 complete. Human resistance mapping finished. Biological weaknesses confirmed. Recommendation: begin Phase 3 within 6 months. Humans show expected compliance levels after medical treatments. Dr. Grant's hand shook as she read more messages. The aliens had been talking to each other all along, sharing information about human weaknesses and planning something they called final integration. She quickly copied all the messages and ran to her communication console. Her first call was to Captain Jake Morrison. "Jake, you need to see this right away," she said when his face appeared on the screen. "The aliens have been lying to us from the beginning." Captain Morrison was on the bridge of his ship, orbiting the colony world of Haven's Rest. He looked tired and worried. "Lisa, I was just about to call you. We have problems here too." "What kind of problems?" "Colonel Hayes has been reporting strange things. Alien ships that are supposed to be on peaceful missions are scanning our military bases. When he asks them about it, they say they are just checking to make sure our defenses are strong enough." "Doctor." Grant felt her heart sink. "Jake, they are not checking our defenses to help us. They are looking for weak spots to attack." She transmitted the decoded messages to Captain Morrison's ship. As he read them, his face grew pale. "My God, Lisa, how long have they been planning this?" "From the very beginning, I think. Maybe even before they made contact with us." Meanwhile, on Mars, Dr. Alex Turner was making his own horrifying discovery. The Nexari biotechnicians he had been working with had left their laboratory for what they called a religious ceremony. But Dr. Turner had forgotten some equipment and returned to find them doing something very different. The blue-tentacled aliens were examining thousands of samples of human tissue under microscopes that looked nothing like the ones they used during the day. On their screens were detailed maps of human biology, showing every weakness and vulnerability they had discovered. Dr. Turner hid behind a storage container and listened as the Nexari spoke in their own language. He had learned enough of their words to understand the basics of what they were saying. Human genetic structure weaker than expected. Biological weapons will be highly effective. Recommend dispersal through medical treatment systems already in place. Dr. Turner's blood turned to ice. The medical treatments that had saved so many human lives were also delivery systems for biological weapons. The aliens could kill every human who had received their treatments with the flip of a switch. He quietly backed out of the laboratory and ran to his quarters to send an emergency message to Earth. On the frontier world of Haven's Rest, Colonel Ben Hayes was dealing with his own crisis. Alien patrols that were supposed to be protecting human space had been asking detailed questions about human military procedures. "How many ships can you mobilize in an emergency?" a Corvin officer had asked during what was supposed to be a friendly meeting. "What are your response times to different types of attacks?" an ethereal being had inquired while reviewing joint defense plans. "Where do you store your emergency supplies?" a Thakari drone had questioned during a routine inspection. Hayes had answered these questions thinking they were part of normal military cooperation, but now he realized the aliens were gathering intelligence for an attack. He ordered his communications officer to send coded messages to all human military commanders. Condition yellow. Prepare for possible hostile action. Trust no alien information. The intelligence office on Earth, Danny Clark finally found the evidence he had been looking for. The gifts that alien ships had been delivering to human colonies were not presents at all. They were devices designed to disable human technology when activated remotely. Every power plant, communication center, and military base that had received alien gifts was now vulnerable to instant shutdown. The aliens could cripple human civilization with a single coordinated signal. Danny immediately contacted Admiral Susan Blake at Earth Defense Command. "Admiral, we have been infiltrated. The aliens can shut down our entire infrastructure whenever they want." Admiral Blake stared at the evidence Danny showed her. "How did we miss this for so long?" "They were very careful," Danny replied. "And they had help from humans who had been treated with their medical systems. The treatments make people less suspicious and more trusting." The most shocking discovery came from an unexpected source. Captain Morrison received a weak signal from deep space, a message from Commander Lisa Perry, who was supposed to be dead. "Jake, if you receive this, we are alive." Her voice crackled through the static. "The Corvins captured us and have been holding us on a research station. They have been testing us, learning how to break human resistance." The message continued with details that made Captain Morrison sick to his stomach. The aliens had been torturing the captured crews, not to be cruel, but to gather scientific data about human psychology. "They know exactly how much pain humans can take before we break." Commander Perry's message continued. "They know what threatens us most, what makes us fight, and what makes us give up. They have been preparing for war against us from the beginning." Captain Morrison immediately shared the message with Dr. Grant and the other human leaders. The evidence was overwhelming. Humanity had been betrayed. Dr. Grant gathered all the intelligence they had collected and prepared a presentation for the Colonial Council. As she worked, she realized how clever the alien deception had been. "They gave us real benefits to make us trust them," she explained to her assistant. "The medical treatments really do cure diseases. The technology really does work. But every gift came with a hidden cost. The biological treatments mapped human genetics and made people more compliant. The construction help included secret vulnerabilities in human buildings. The navigation assistance allowed aliens to map human space perfectly. The defensive cooperation revealed every weakness in human military strategy." When Dr. Grant finally presented her evidence to the Colonial Council, the Yidai room fell silent. President Charles Adams, who had been one of the strongest supporters of the Alien Alliance, stared at the data in disbelief. "You are telling me that everything they gave us was part of a plan to conquer us?" "Yes, Mr. President, and based on the timeline in their communications, they are planning to attack within the next few months." Admiral Blake stood up from her seat. "We need to prepare for war immediately. But we have a problem. They know everything about our capabilities, and we know almost nothing about theirs." Colonel Hayes joined the meeting by video link from Haven's Rest. "There is more bad news. Alien ships have been moving into attack positions around our major colonies. They are calling it increased patrol activity, but it looks like they are surrounding us." Dr. Turner added his voice from Mars, "And the medical treatment centers could become biological weapon delivery systems at any moment. Millions of humans are at risk." Captain Morrison looked around at the worried faces on his screen. "So what do we do now?" Dr. Grant took a deep breath. "We do what humans do best. We adapt. We survive. And we fight back." But as the meeting ended, everyone knew that humanity faced the greatest threat in its history. The aliens had spent a year preparing for this moment, and humans had only days to get ready for war. The emergency meeting of human leaders lasted 18 hours. In a secure bunker deep beneath Earth Defense Command, President Charles Adams looked at the faces on his screen. Military commanders, scientists, and diplomats from across human Space. We have 48 hours, Admiral Susan Blake announced grimly. Intelligence reports show massive alien fleet movements. They are positioning for simultaneous attacks on Earth, Mars, Europa, and all major colonies. Dr. Lisa Grant spoke from her laboratory on New Geneva. The biological weapon threat is immediate. Anyone who received alien medical treatments could be targeted. That includes millions of people across human space. Captain Jake Morrison was coordinating from his ship near Haven's Rest. We cannot use normal communication channels. The aliens have been monitoring everything. We need to go completely dark and use emergency protocols only. The biggest problem was trust. The alien medical treatments had affected thousands of people in government, military, and industry. These people were not traitors, but their judgment had been compromised. They might make decisions that helped the aliens without realizing it. Colonel, Ben Hayes had the solution. We identify everyone who has been treated and remove them from critical positions temporarily. It sounds harsh, but we cannot take chances. President Adams nodded sadly. Do it. National security comes first. Within hours, a quiet revolution took place across human space. Military officers, government officials, and corporate leaders who had received alien treatments found themselves reassigned to non-critical positions. Many did not understand why, and some protested angrily. Ambassador Helen Carter was one of those affected. She had received several alien treatments for health problems and now found herself removed from all diplomatic duties. "This is insane," she told Admiral Blake over a secure channel. "You are destroying everything we built with the aliens based on suspicion and fear." "Helen, I know this is hard," Admiral Blake replied gently. "But the evidence is clear. Your judgment has been compromised by their treatments. Once we deal with this crisis, we can find ways to reverse the effects." Dr. Alex Turner was working frantically on Mars to develop countermeasures for the biological weapons. The Nexari had left their research station, claiming they needed to return to their home world for important meetings. But Dr. Turner knew they were preparing for the attack. "I found something," he reported to the Emergency Command Center. "The biological agents they plan to use are designed to target specific human genetic markers. But they have a weakness. They cannot survive in certain chemical environments." Dr. Turner had discovered that simple household chemicals, when combined in the right way, could neutralize the alien biological weapons. It was not a perfect solution, but it was something. "We need to get this information to every medical facility immediately," Admiral Blake ordered, "and we need to do it without the aliens knowing." Danny Clark, the intelligence officer, had been working on the most dangerous mission of all. He needed to disable the alien devices that had been placed throughout human space without alerting the aliens to what he was doing. "The good news is that the devices all use the same activation frequency," he reported. "If we can jam that frequency, we can prevent them from shutting down our infrastructure." "What is the bad news?" President Adams asked. "We need to get close to alien ships to map their communication systems. That means sending people on what might be suicide missions." Captain Morrison volunteered immediately. "My ship is already in position near alien forces. We can scan their systems and transmit the data before they realize what we are doing." The plan was desperate but necessary. Human ships across space would simultaneously scan alien vessels, gathering the technical information needed to jam their sabotage devices. Most of the ships would probably be destroyed, but the data might save human civilization. On Haven's Rest, Colonel Hayes was preparing the colony's defenses for ground assault. The Corvan forces in the area had been asking suspicious questions about the colony's layout, and Hayes knew they were planning an invasion. "We are moving all civilians to the underground shelters," he reported. "The colony defense force is ready, but we are outnumbered 10-1. Hayes had spent weeks secretly preparing for this moment. He had moved weapons and supplies to hidden locations, trained civilian volunteers in guerrilla tactics, and prepared the colony for siege warfare. The most heartbreaking part of the preparation was dealing with the humans who had been treated with alien medicine. Many of them refused to believe that the aliens were hostile, and some actively opposed the defensive preparations. "You are destroying the most important alliance in human history," argued Dr. Sarah Wilson, the colony's chief medical officer. She had received alien treatments for a rare disease and now seemed incapable of seeing the aliens as threats. Hayes had to place Dr. Wilson and several others under protective custody. It was for their own safety as much as for security, but it felt like betraying friends. Meanwhile, Dr. Grant was making a crucial discovery about alien psychology. By studying their intercepted communications, she realized that the 5 alien species were not as united as they appeared. Each species has its own agenda, she explained to the command team. The Zephyrians want to use humans as slave labor. The Corvins want our territory for expansion. The Nixari want to study us for biological research. The Thakari want to absorb us into their hive mind. The Ethereals want to harvest our energy. This information gave Admiral Blake an idea. If they have different goals, they might have different priorities. We could use that against them. The plan that emerged was risky but clever. Instead of trying to fight all 5 alien species at once, humans would try to turn them against each other by exploiting their conflicting interests. We make each species think the others are trying to claim the biggest share of human resources, Admiral Blake explained. If we can break up their alliance, we might have a chance. As the 48-hour deadline approached, human forces across space prepared for the fight of their lives. Ships moved into defensive positions, colonies activated their shields, and military units took their battle stations. Dr. Turner distributed his biological weapon countermeasures to every medical facility. Danny Clark coordinated the jamming frequencies that would protect human infrastructure. Colonel Hayes prepared his people for ground combat. Captain Morrison led a squadron of ships toward the alien fleet positions, ready to gather the intelligence data that might save humanity. He knew most of his pilots would not survive the mission, but they went anyway. On Earth, President Adams addressed the human species in what might have been humanity's last free broadcast. My fellow humans, we face our greatest challenge today. The beings we trusted as friends have revealed themselves as enemies. But we are not helpless, we are human. We adapt, we endure, and we fight for our freedom. As the president spoke, alien fleets across the galaxy began moving toward human space. The time for preparation was over. The war for humanity's survival was about to begin. Dr. Grant looked at her computer screen showing alien fleet movements and whispered, "Here they come." In space stations, on colony worlds, and aboard human ships, millions of people prepared to fight for their species' right to exist. The aliens had planned their attack perfectly, but they had made one crucial mistake. They had underestimated what humans would do when backed into a corner. The alien attack began at exactly 600 hours Earth time. Across human space, 5 different alien fleets struck simultaneously, just as they had planned for over a year. But something went wrong immediately. Captain Jake Morrison's suicide mission had worked. His squadron had gotten close enough to alien ships to scan their communication systems before being destroyed. The data they transmitted in their final moments gave Danny Clark exactly what he needed. As alien sabotage devices activated across human colonies, Danny's jamming signals activated too. Power plants that should have shut down kept running. Communication networks that should have failed stayed online. Military bases that should have gone dark remained operational. Jamming successful, Danny reported from his command center on Earth. Their sabotage devices are not working. On Mars, Dr. Alex Turner watched alien ships approach the research station. But instead of the easy victory the aliens expected, they found human defenders ready and waiting. The biological weapons the Nixari tried to deploy failed completely. Dr. Turner's countermeasures protected every human who had received alien medical treatments. Instead of dying, the treated humans actually fought harder as if they were angry about being betrayed. The biological attack has failed, Dr. Turner reported with satisfaction. Our people are safe. But the real surprise came from Dr. Lisa Grant's psychological warfare plan. As the alien fleets attacked, human communications specialists began broadcasting carefully crafted messages on alien frequencies. The messages were designed to make each alien species think the others were trying to claim the biggest share of human resources for themselves. Corvan commanders, the Zephyrians are moving to secure human industrial centers for their own use. One message declared. Nexari forces, the Kari units are attempting to capture human research facilities without authorization. Another announced. All species. The ethereals are draining human energy sources ahead of schedule, violating the agreed timeline. The effect was immediate and devastating. Alien coordination began to break down as each species started protecting their own interests instead of working together. Commander Krex of the Corvan Empire demanded to know why Zephyrian ships were approaching human factories that had been assigned to Corvan forces. Veltar of the Zephyrians accused the Nexari of trying to steal human genetic samples that belonged to the collective. The carefully planned alien attack turned into a confused mess of competing priorities and mutual suspicion. Admiral Susan Blake watched the alien fleet movements from Earth Defense Command and smiled grimly. Their coordination is falling apart. All units prepare for counterattack. The human counterattack was unlike anything the aliens had expected. Instead of fighting defensively, human forces went on the offensive immediately. Captain Morrison, who had survived his scanning mission by ejecting in an escape pod, was picked up by a human rescue ship and given command of a hastily assembled strike force. Target their command ships first, he ordered his pilots. Without coordination, they cannot execute their battle plans. Human ships, though smaller and less advanced than alien vessels, proved to be incredibly difficult to fight. They moved in unpredictable patterns, changed tactics constantly, and seemed to learn from every exchange. The Corvan Empire had studied human military doctrine for months, but the humans kept doing things that were not in any manual. Ships would ram alien vessels when their weapons failed. Pilots would use damaged ships as guided missiles. Crews would continue fighting even when their ships were crippled. On Europa, Colonel Ben Hayes led the ground defense against Corvan invasion forces. The reptilian aliens had expected to face organized military units in conventional battles. Instead, they found guerrilla fighters who appeared and disappeared like ghosts. They are not fighting like soldiers, a confused Corvan commander reported to his superiors. They are fighting like angry animals protecting their young. Hayes had trained his people to use the underwater cities the Corvans had helped build. The aliens knew the layout of the buildings, but they did not know about the secret passages and hidden weapons caches that Hayes had added. Human defenders would attack from unexpected directions, disappear into hidden tunnels, and reappear somewhere else entirely. The Corvan forces, trained for organized warfare, could not adapt to this chaotic fighting style. The turning point came when Dr. Grant's team managed to break the alien command encryption completely. Suddenly, humans could hear everything the aliens were saying to each other. They are panicking, Dr. Grant reported with amazement. Each species is blaming the others for the mission's failure. The Thakari are accusing the ethereals of deliberately sabotaging the coordination systems. The Nexari think the Zephyrians gave humans advance warning. Admiral Blake saw her opportunity. Broadcast this on all alien frequencies. Emergency priority message. Human resistance stronger than expected. Recommend immediate withdrawal to prevent total fleet loss. The message, sent on Corvan military channels, convinced each alien species that the others were planning to retreat and leave them to face human forces alone. Within hours, the carefully planned alien invasion turned into a complete rout. Each species began withdrawing their forces to protect their own interests, abandoning their allies and their invasion plans. The Zephyrian Collective was the first to retreat, pulling their crystal ships back to defensive positions. The Ethereal Commonwealth followed, claiming they needed to protect their energy reserves. The Thakari Union withdrew to defend their hive worlds. The Nexari Federation recalled their biotechnology ships. Only the Corvan Empire tried to continue the attack, but without support from the other species, their forces were quickly overwhelmed by human defenders. Commander Krex sent a final message as his flagship limped away from human space. This is not over, humans. The galaxy will not tolerate your existence forever. Captain Morrison replied on an open channel that all alien species could hear. You came to our home speaking of peace while planning war. You studied our weaknesses but forgot to study our strengths. Next time you want to fight humanity, Remember this day. In the aftermath of the failed invasion, humanity began the long process of rebuilding and preparing for future threats. The alien medical treatments were reversed where possible, freeing affected humans from their influence. Ambassador Helen Carter, her judgment restored, worked to establish new diplomatic protocols. "We will never again trust without verification," she declared. Humanity has learned that the galaxy is a dangerous place. Dr. Turner and Dr. Grant began developing new technologies based on what they had learned from alien science, but with built-in safeguards to prevent future deception. Colonel Hayes established new military training programs that emphasized adaptability and unconventional tactics. "The next time aliens study our military doctrine," he said, "they will find that we have no doctrine except to win." President Adams addressed humanity in the victory broadcast. "Today we learned that we are not alone in the universe, and we are not the strongest species in the galaxy, but we also learned something else. We are the most dangerous species when we are cornered, the most creative when we are challenged, and the most united when we are threatened." As human ships patrolled the borders of human space, now alert for any new threats, the 5 alien species returned to their home territories to lick their wounds and reconsider their view of humanity. In their private councils, they spoke no longer of conquest, but of caution. The small primitive species they had planned to easily dominate had become something unexpected, a force to be respected and feared. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy not as victims or subjects, but as survivors who would fight for their freedom no matter the odds. The stars belonged to whoever was strong enough to claim them, and humanity had proven they were exactly that strong.